God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon related content on our march to launch. Today, guys, I want to talk about the danger, the actual fear, the feeling of dread in your body when you are playing an MMORPG that punishes you for screwing up. I'm talking about if you do not play correctly, if you do not act correctly, if you act like an idiot, if you mess up in a big way and you do not have the backup of your group, if you do not have a group of people that can fill that hole you left when you made that mistake, then you are in for trouble. You are scared. You are not going to want something bad to happen, such as death. But it goes beyond just death and the consequences of dying, although we are going to talk about that as well. I mean other things, and I'm going to get pretty in-depth about this, and we've been playing some EverQuest lately on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Pantheon Plus channel. Go join them if you haven't already. Please drop him a subscribe. That guy's got some really great content going on there. But guys, we've been playing it, and it's really reminded me of there was more danger than just death in EverQuest. Something that I had forgotten, something I hadn't really thought about. I really hadn't realized that these other dangers were there. And I'm going to talk about that. So first, let me tell the story of what happened. So we were playing the other night, and we went down into Lower Gook, and I had never been there, guys. I didn't play EverQuest I actually did play it a lot, but it took so long to level up, and I had no freaking idea what I was doing back then, that although EverQuest has definitely changed who I am and how I look at MMORPGs, to be honest, I put more time into games like Final Fantasy XI, Dark Age of Camelot than I did in EverQuest. EverQuest was just like what really spurred me into MMORPGs and made me fall in love with them. So anyway, I had never been in Gook. I'd heard of it, and it was like where the cool kids hung out. You know, I wanted to always go there, and it sounded so awesome and all that kind of thing, but I never got to personally go. So this was actually my first time in Gook. I could be lying, but I'm pretty sure I never got to go. So anyway, we did go down in there, and there's a part that many of you will be completely familiar with where the floor is really slippery, and you don't want to fall off, right? And I did fall off. You know, I was goofing off. I didn't think it was going to be that hard, and I think I tried to jump or something, and I slid right off, and I didn't think there was a way out. I actually had some panic for a moment, like, oh my gosh, there's actually not a way out of here. You know, and the world of EverQuest Norath is so perilous, so unforgiving sometimes, that it wouldn't have shocked me if it's just like, well, you're screwed. You're gonna have to get somebody to drag you out, or you're gonna have to die and respawn, you know, something, because we don't care, so you're gonna have to drown. You know, like, that wouldn't shock me if that was the way that it was. And for a little bit of time there, that's what I thought. Of course, there's a tunnel you can swim through and get to a ladder underwater, but you know, and I figured that out, of course, with the help of the other people in the group. But anyway, that's the kind of danger, the kind of excitement. Like, I got freaked out, man. Like, I legitimately was sweating. My armpits were freaking soaking wet through my shirt, like, and it was just for a moment, that until I realized that I was not completely screwed. But that's the kind of stuff, man, that really drives a world, you know, makes it feel real, because in real life, you can get in some really bad situations if you're not paying attention. Imagine in real life if you slid off a cliff in some dark cavern and went flying into some nasty, murky water. You might not be able to get up, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the kind of thing that really makes you think twice and behave differently, because the dangers are real and the consequences are kind of bad sometimes. And once again, like I said before, you have to kind of rely on your group sometimes to get you out of these sticky situations. I'm not the world's greatest MMO player. I'm not the world's greatest probably absolutely anything, but I always try to surround myself with people who are better than me, you know what I mean? So that we can get through it, and I can try to achieve their level of excellence. And that's how I play multiplayer games. I don't want to play with somebody not as good as me. I mean, I don't mind, but I'm going to try to surround myself with allies who are going to help me, push me further, and make me better at the game, and put me in situations that I'm not even comfortable with. And do you see, this creates this tapestry of gameplay that can't be replicated on a single player game, or even like a 2 or 4 player co-op game. And MMORPGs are in a position to do things like this, and unfortunately for a long time they have not, because they don't want to punish the player, because they're afraid they'll quit playing, they'll unsubscribe, they'll not return to their game, they'll call it garbage, etc. So it takes a very brave developer to say, you know what, we're going to make our game hard, and we're going to make there be real consequences, because we want people to behave differently in our game. We want people to pay attention to what's going on, to have to listen to their friends, to have to learn. If you're that first guy that makes it into this dungeon and you don't know there's slippery floors and you come just flying out and you go flying off into oblivion, number one, that is a great memory. You will remember that moment forever. And so will everybody else in the group or anybody nearby that might have seen that. And it's going to teach those people, and they will tell everybody as they're coming there. They will not forget. They will remember when they get to that part, hello, everybody slow down. They'll probably be telling people before they even get in the dungeon, like, guys, there's going to be this one part, I need y'all to, I'll let you know when it is. You're going to have to slow down, or you're going to go flying off a cliff, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to ruin our night. Do you see? And they're going to tell everybody about that, and it creates this real world thing. So everybody who's first timing this place goes in it a little freaked out, right? Like, I hope this guy doesn't forget. You know, they'll be saying stuff in chat like, hey, we're not at that part yet, are we? You know, and it creates this fear and this excitement. And then when you feel these emotions like this, the things I call core emotions such as fear, excitement, when you feel these kind of things, what happens is your memory burns a little brighter. You remember these things a little better because you're not on autopilot, right? So when we're playing MMORPGs these days, a lot of the time we're just on autopilot. We're just following the quest marker. We're just doing our grind that we've done 100 million times. It's Groundhog Day. There's not much difference, you know, if any at all. And you're on autopilot. And research shows that when you actually are emotionally triggered, in almost probably any emotion, then you are more likely to remember that event. If you think back at some of the memories of a young child, it was probably spurred on by a very, not all the time of course, but a very big emotion. Something emotional had happened to you, or you felt a certain way and you remembered it better. And that's what Brad McQuaid is always talking about when he says creating memories. Sometimes those memories are terrible, and when they're happening, you're not even happy, you're not even enjoying yourself sometimes. But the thing is you'll look back fondly at those moments. How many moments in old school MMORPGs have you felt horrible? You didn't even like the situation, but now you can look back and you can see the genius of it. You can see how much fun you were actually having and how invested and immersed you were in this game because of the fear, the excitement, the adventure, everything that was created by that risk and that consequence to screwing up, you know? And it's big time, it's major. Now we're going to also talk about a little bit about the penalties of death, and we don't know all the details on Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. However, it seems as though they are going to be going with a classic type, corpse run type scenario. And what happens there is you die, your stuff's still on your body, and you have to get back and recover it, maybe with a time limit. And if not, then your corpse will decompose and you might lose everything. Now, we don't know. We don't know exactly how it's going to work, so don't take that as 100% this is how the game's going to be, because we don't actually know. And of course, they're not going to make that final decision until they get some testing in and they find out for sure what works and balance out that fun with that risk-reward consequence type scenario and get everything perfect for the vision of the game. However, there's lots of options they can take with that, and we can talk all day about it. A couple of things that I want to mention, because I absolutely have to, is, alright, so let's say they don't put a time limit per se on you lose absolutely everything, okay? Because the gear's not easy to get. You're going to be spending a lot of time farming and working really hard to get some of this gear. It's going to be super rare. This isn't just going to be hand-me-outs that you get, okay? Losing it becomes this even just monumentous, just crazy. Like, I can't even imagine losing something like that you spent all this time on. I mean, can you imagine how you would feel if something were to go bad real late at night, no guild members were on, there wasn't that many people online, and nobody could help you, and you time out and you lose everything? Now, if that was how the game played, then you're going to be behaving very, very differently. Maybe at first not, but if that ever happens to you, for the rest of your time in the game, you're not going to be taking a whole lot of chances. You know what I mean? You're going to really have to trust the people that you're with, and etc. I mean, that's a big deal. However, I have been thinking about this other type scenario, where yes, there is still a time limit, and your body decomposes into bone. However, your stuff is now just lying on the ground near the corpse. Why would that be a good idea? Well, number one, it would kind of get rid of that scenario where you could lose something super big, but not really. Because when I say things laying on the ground, what if they made it to where literally it's laying on the ground as an item to be picked up by anybody at that point? So you die, your body's laying there, nobody can loot your body except for yourself, okay? However, once, I don't know what they would make the time limit be, but a decent amount of time, you know, 3-4 hours, something like that, to give you plenty of time to get somebody online or to help you, etc. And then after that, it turns to a skeleton, your stuff is laying there, and anybody that just happens to be near it can take your stuff. Now, this would create a lot of gameplay things, and I'm not even saying I agree with this method, it's just me brainstorming, okay? So don't take it as, and run around and say the Nathan Napalm wants there to be looting off of dead corpses from other players, because it's not necessarily what I'm saying. This is all for conversation, okay? But anyway, let's say that that's the way it goes. Let's say you're a jerk. Let's say you're a troll. Let's say you're from Reddit and you're a big old meanie face, okay? And you see somebody die, and you're not a nice guy. You don't want to help them, but you saw that there was some pretty cool loot on that guy. Would you camp their corpse? Of course you would. If you're that kind of person, of course you would. You would camp it and hope that guy doesn't get there to get his stuff so that you can take his gear. Now, I think that should give you some bad faction if you're acting that way. Number one, I think it should tell the player who took their stuff. I think that's fair. So if that was the system they went with, which is brutal, man, I don't think they'll do it, but let's humor the situation. Let's say it is. I think the player should see it, like it should tell them in their chat log or what have you, that this person here has taken your stuff. That way they know who it is. And of course, they're going to tell their guild, like, this freaking jerk. Now, that could open negotiations with the guy. He could then say, hey, look, I really actually wasn't stealing your stuff, dude. I was getting it for you because I didn't want somebody to actually thieve it. I'm a nice guy. I was picking it up for you. I'm holding it, and meet me at X and Y, and I will give you your stuff back. Or maybe they'll hold it for ransom. Maybe they'll say, hey, you want your stuff back? Give me a few plat. You know what I mean? Give me 1,000 plat, and I'll give you your stuff back. That's an interesting situation. The point of all this, though, not that I think they're going to do something like that, maybe on the PvP server or something, but, you know, it's just that we know there's going to be that risk versus reward, there's going to be that consequence, and the main portion of the video was just me. I wanted you to understand the world itself contending against you, not just you versus mobs, but the actual world of Terminus is going to be contending against you with atmospheres, with weather, with traps, with all kinds of things to make you behave differently if there is a risk of something bad that you don't want to happen to you. A lot of older classic games went with this philosophy. They knew if there was no consequence to death, you would play the game and just hammer through it as fast as possible. You wouldn't stop and see the sights. You wouldn't remember much from it. It would just be a throwaway world. And if they're going to create a world this important, this big, spend this much time with the lore and the details and all of this, then Visionary Realms has decided we want people to remember Terminus forever. We want it to be ingrained in their minds, their adventures here, their misadventures here, the good and the bad, and take that away as an experience. Not playing the game, but experiencing the game. Big difference there. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it got you to think about a couple of things. And sorry I went off on a weird hypothesis there, but I thought it was worth mentioning because I've been thinking about that, and I thought it's kind of a cool idea to a certain aspect. Guys, I hope you enjoyed. Join me here on the Nathan Napalm channel. Binge watch my stuff. I got plenty of Pantheon content. You can actually go to the playlist and watch it forever. I mean, it's a lot of stuff I've got on here, and as well as my other stuff that I cover as well. But until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet, you can even hit replay. But please just subscribe, I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize, but just please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.